Hey everyone, Ryan here with Ray's Latest, and today we're going to talk about some things going around the league. Also, we're going to talk about some major news coming out about Emmanuel Clase getting indicted on sports gambling charges, and Adrian Hauser is looking like he will not be wearing a Rays uniform again next season. So let's get into that. So Adrian Hauser is going into free agency. He's got a small cheap price tag, so he won't be too expensive, and the Rays could easily afford him if they would like. But I've seen a lot of things of him thinking about going out west. I've seen a lot of all the signs kind of pointing towards the Oakland Athletics in getting him, and he was a midseason acquisition last year. Came over from the White Sox, in which he threw 68 and two-thirds innings with them at a 2.1 ERA in 11 starts. So at the time it was a fantastic get by all means. But his time with the Rays, he had 10 starts, had a 56 and a third, 4.79 ERA with a 4.38 FIP, which, if you don't know what FIP is, it's fielding independent pitching. So it's taking out everything that a pitcher cannot control, and it's just kind of like kind of determined towards ERA and the as it goes like per 9 innings, but it takes out all things that a pitcher cannot control. And so you see that a lot when a pitcher has a terrible defense behind them and kind of keeping the ball, like giving up home runs and things of that nature will kind of raise your FIP a little bit because it's solely based on what the pitcher did. And so seeing his FIP down only zero point 0.3 from where his ERA is at, that's kind of a pretty good indicator that he was the issue. And I think that coming over to the Rays there with such high hopes, with him having such a low ERA and been dominant for the White Sox, which are not a good franchise by any means. So I'm not really upset with losing him. He was kind of a back end inning eater guy in the first place. So seeing him go is not going to be the end of the world. I don't truly think, and I think that we can get another pitcher in free agency if we need be. But I do think that our starting pitching, getting McClanahan back and having some guys like Rasmussen kind of fully step into a role of where he can go the full 7, 8 innings, that he wasn't necessarily on a pitch count like he kind of was last year coming off TJ. So I think the starting pitching's there, and I don't think there's really going to be an issue with finding guys, barring any injuries. Hopefully we don't see any more of those like we have in the previous years. Couldn't catch a break with McClanahan, Rasmussen, and Springs all going down in a month time frame from each other. So I think that seeing him leave, I think he'll prosper elsewhere, but it's not really something that I'm kind of upset about. He's a cheap starting pitcher that there's plenty of guys just like him out there in the league, and I'm sure Neander's going to find a way to be able to replace a back end starter like that. But keeping to the pitching, Emmanuel Clase was indicted on sports gambling charges today. That I've seen the videos, and I saw it's been a thing for a while now, and I was kind of thinking about it the other day, actually, of if anything was actually going to come of this, because I know these investigations take a while, and I know there's a lot of things to take into account. But watching the videos, it's hard to think that he didn't have anything to do with that, because he's an all-world closer. He's one of the best in the league, and the way he went about it, not necessarily saying it's smart the way he went about it, but the bets in the way that they were doing it is kind of smart. At the end of the day, he did end up getting caught, and he is going to be banned from Major League Baseball for the rest of his career, and he's facing 65 years in prison. But the singular pitch is an interesting one, because I never really thought of it that way. Like, if you're going to rig bets and rig sports, I know that player props is a big way to do that in like the NBA and the NFL. But with baseball, I've never kind of thought about it as like betting first pitch ball or first pitch strike is a way to kind of rig bets. And I know that's been a bet for a while, but I never necessarily thought about it as way like the best way for somebody to rig bets. And I do truly think that that was the best way to get around it because he's not necessarily throwing games and he still he I don't know if he was or not, but he necessarily isn't trying to affect the outcome of a game. It's just the first pitch of an AB being a ball or a strike, and they were just betting ball. But the way they did go about it, which I think at the end of the day is why they got caught, the pitches that he was throwing were like 47 feet spiked curveballs. And it got pretty egregious to the point to where it was multiple first pitches of outings that he has had where they were just way off and it just looked super super suspicious. And I think that at the end of the day was probably the reasoning behind the indictments. Is I think they found the video footage, and then they found the financial footage that he was getting paid $12,000 to throw for each bet that he threw, which in the grand scheme of things, I just don't get it. I don't. He was due $6.2 million this year. The following two seasons, he had $10 million club options from the Guardians. Like $60,000, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like, and that's 1% of his annual contract, and he just threw his entire career away, and he's facing 65 years in prison, which I don't think 65 years in prison will actually happen. I think it'll be one of those things where he might get a little bit of time, but he's not going to get the full 65 years. He really won't. But I just don't get it. I don't get players that like Terry Rozier. I don't get that for $200,000. These guys are on multi-million-dollar contracts, and I just don't understand why they would want to throw away their entire career and their entire legacy and have his name in record books for the rest of Major League Baseball history for pennies on the dollar of what he is getting paid to play the game. So I just don't get if it's an addiction thing, if he just loved doing it. I don't know. I think it's so dumb. I don't get it why players do this. It's not financially helping them any means. It's like I wouldn't say I don't condone it at all, but I would necessarily understand a little bit more if it was multiple millions of dollars that they're dealing with here. But less than 1% of his annual contract is just asinine to me. That's crazy. I don't get it. But I digress. But we'll transition over to some top landing spots for some free agents. The biggest one I'm seeing is Munetaka Murakami. I think he's going to be he's the biggest name this offseason. Everybody's chasing the next Shohei, the next Yamamoto from Japan. And what I've seen from this guy statistically wise, he hit 273 last year with a 944 OPS. He's hit 265 home runs, 722 RBIs in 8 seasons. Which, thinking about it back at it this way, he's 25. He's been playing professional baseball since he was 17 in Japan. That's crazy to me. He was won Rookie of the Year in 2019. He's the biggest name, and I think it's going to be coming down to just the big guys that we always see. It's going to be the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, the Dodgers. Possibly, I've seen the Seattle Mariners kind of like a potential dark horse landing spot for him. But I can truly see, I don't think he will be a Los Angeles Dodger. I don't think the league will let that happen. And the reason why I say this is because you already have Roki, you have Yamamoto, you have Shohei. I think that Major League Baseball, from a business perspective, wants to kind of expand that Japanese audience a little bit further. And I think I could see an East Coast team being the one that prevails, and I can see it possibly being the New York Mets. So I think for me personally, my opinion, I think Murakami will be a New York Met solely based on the fact that I think that Manfred and the entire league knows that having that Japanese audience on the East Coast would be massive for Major League Baseball, and kind of spreading that kind of foreign international viewership audience to different teams in different markets would be huge for Major League Baseball. And I think they know that. And I think that the price tag that Murakami's going to get from New York is going to be pretty hefty. And I think that the Dodgers, I know they love to spend their money. I just don't think they have the money for another player like this. And I don't see a West Coast team getting him. I think it's going to be East Coast. And I think the New York Mets are kind of in that prime position to get him. So we'll see how that turns out. He's got 45 days starting this past Saturday. So November 8th, 45 days from November 8th, he has until to sign a contract with a major league team. So I could see that kind of being done relatively soon here. I don't think it's going to get past Christmas. I don't think it's going to take that long. But we'll see where he ends up landing. But I truly do think he's going to be an East Coast guy. But yeah, you guys let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think Murakami might possibly be landing. And if you guys have anything else you want to let me know or anything else you want me to talk about, please let me know. And you guys have a good start of your week.